what I see is that my success rates, the success rates for my class, are lower than the ones for all the sections combined. My students for this class are not performing as well as students from other classes, from other faculty members, or from other classes that I could even be teaching, not this particular one. Because of that, again, there's many ways to do this, but because of that, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna look only at my results now, trying to understand if this is happening across all my demographics groups, or if there are any particular groups that are pulling my numbers down. Okay, what do you see now?
Jesus, could you make it bigger, or is that not possible?
No, I don't think it is possible.
Okay.
Well, Jesus, I would say in general, you do not do as well with the Latino student population as you do with others.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between you and then the course overall, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, correct. What else do you see?
Oh, geez, Philippine. Yeah. Okay. Your age group, you don't.
Yeah, but Filipino's not statistically accurate. You're talking one student, so the percentage is not an accurate percentage. There's not enough data to actually validate the percentage.
Correct. So, Brian, you mean to the fact that there's only one Filipino student, right?
Exactly. So if there's only one, it's like we administer state tests. Well, the state test has a 0% pass rate. Well, because in the last quarter, only one person took the test and they didn't pass it. So does that mean the test is too hard, or not enough people took it to be statistically valid? And we do that with a lot of the measurements of smog for professional licensing audit, that if you don't do enough data, the data doesn't count because it's not statistically accurate.
Yeah, and actually, I can tell you there's a lot of discussion between the institutional research offices about this particular topic. Whenever we're putting student equity reports together, there's a lot of different ways to say, okay, when is something too much? So there's a lot of discussion about that particular topic. So what I see in this particular table is what you both mentioned. On one side, I see that, for example, Asian students, Filipino students, yeah, the percentages are very low, but we are talking about only 3 and 1 student. So it is very hard for me to really tell if something is going on. Now, on the other side, for Latino students, yeah, maybe the base, there's also not a lot of students, but at least I have a little more students. I have 23 students and only 10 were successful. So I think I have a little more confidence that at least I can talk about Latino students for this particular one. So,
well, absolutely, and they're a much bigger part of your class percentage-wise of the 70. So if that data is lower than the class data, then that student population is outlier, because you have because what are they? Almost a third of your class.
correct.
So they're a big enough percentage of the whole to validate the data.
So in this case, one thing that I could think, okay, it seems to me that my Latino students are the ones that are pulling down my numbers. They're moving my numbers down, but I also see that my younger students, the one from the age group 20 to 24, and actually some people are mentioning that in the chat, people with 20 to 24 years, they are also underperforming, and they are also 27 students. So I'm going to take a leap and say, okay, I'm going to talk about those two particular groups. Now, so at this point, what I want to do is I want to focus on these two groups, Latino students and younger students. I'm going to look at the same group in the other column to understand if there's something happening in the other classes, or if it's just something that is happening in my class.
Well, the other question I would have is, are your younger students Latino? Is it the same group, and that you don't have that data from this spreadsheet? Because that's what we talked about earlier, about combining different things to see what the outline. So is this a Latino problem or an age problem that just happens to be Latino?
All right, Brian, I'm totally sure that you would be one of the A students in this analysis. It's like you were with me when I was putting together this exercise. We're going to get to the thing that you're mentioning. Okay, but for now, we're going to think that these are, we're not going to try to combine them. We're just going to think about Latino, and we're going to think about younger students. So I have interest in these two groups.